Welcome to the training webinar. My name is Ruth. The webinar is being recorded as well, so it will be sent out by email. So you'll be able to rewatch it as a private YouTube link as well. They will also probably be uploaded to our help centre into the training webinar library. So you'll be able to see it there as well. So this is just a short session this morning, and we're going to go through how to set up disbursement types and posting type descriptions, and basically just how to set those up in system settings, and then very briefly how to use them in your postings and in your reporting as well, because both of these functions are designed to make the posting of accounts data more accurate with your descriptions as well, and more efficient, as well as being used in the reporting side of things as well. So bear with me 1 second, and I'm just going to share my screen and we'll bring up Insight. Any questions that you have, if you want to pop them in the Q&A, and I will probably have a look at those once we've kind of finished, then we can have a little Q&A session after that. All right, if you just pop them in there for me, that'd be great. So if I just share my screen, share Insight. There we go, and hopefully you can all see that. Okay. And maybe that. Not across there, perfect. Okay, just gonna move that video out of the way. So, and when we're looking at our account settings, there's a couple of things that we can do in the system settings that are helpful to cashiers. The first one would be disbursement types. So if we go to system and we go to settings, and then we select disbursements from the list over here. Now, normally what happens is you will have this normal default disbursement type, but you can add any other disbursement type that you want on here. They can have default settings within them, as you can see, but even just having disbursement types set up, even if you don't use the default settings, can be very helpful, because that is you can then report on the different disbursement types that you have in the disbursement reports. However, putting the defaults against each type of disbursement for the default VAT rate and for the bill VAT rate can enhance this even more, simply because you are then eliminating the process of any individual who is posting to have to make a selection about VAT. So you're making it much more efficient, much more accurate every single time whenever you're using a disbursement type. It's very helpful having those defaults set as well if you do use things like posting requests from the ledger, or even as a task within a workflow, simply because, again, the fee earners or admin secretarial staff do not have to make a choice about which VAT rate to use. That has already been done and it's set up in the system settings, so they don't have to choose that at all from a drop-down list. It's already done for them. So whenever you want to add a disbursement type, you go to this section in system settings and then you hit add. As you can see, I've already got a few disbursement types on this system, but we're going to just add a couple more while we're here. If we hit add, it gives us a nice row here, and we just need to give it a code and a description. So for example, I might put surveyor fee in this one. I might add another one, and we'll give it, let's see, council fee maybe. And then we could add another one here. You can have as well different disbursement types, maybe for almost like the same third party. For example, I've got land registry searches here, but I might want a different disbursement type for land registry applications. So that could be a separate one. Because again, there might be different VAT settings for different types of disbursements whenever you're doing that. So it just allows you to differentiate between disbursement types in there as well. So once you've got them added, you can hit save. Oh, already used that one. So I'm just going to have to change that one to SU. So it will always tell you if you have used a code again, and it will give you that error message so that you have a unique code for each one that you're using. So I'll hit save. So whenever you're setting the default VAT settings, you've got the option then of choosing whether it's VATable when billed, and then you can choose the different rates. So, for example, if we go into surveyor fee here, if I want to make sure that there is a default VAT rate for that, the default VAT rate refers to the element of the VAT whenever you're doing the posting. So that's the VAT rate that will appear there, whereas the bill VAT rate is when you are putting VAT on the disbursement when you're actually billing the disbursement in your office bill, and you can do that there. So if you want just you can choose, also you can mark that to be VATable when billed to make sure that the VAT comes through on the bill as well. So if it was a particular type of disbursement that you know there's going to be a VAT element whenever you're paying it, you can put a default VAT fee in there, and you know then that that VAT is going to be billed whenever you're adding to the bill to make sure you recoup that VAT. Then you can make sure you put the 20% VAT on there as well. Okay, and then once you've done that, you can hit save. Any of these other ones, you can, if you're adding VAT on top of a disbursement that say for example, maybe a TT fee or something like that, that might have no VAT as part of the posting itself, but then would have VAT on top of that whenever you're actually doing the bill, you're charging VAT on top of that. You can again make sure you mark VATable when billed, put the default VAT rate would be the no VAT when you're posting it, but then you would add the 20% whenever it's being billed. So again, you're just setting those as defaults. Anybody who chooses those types, that's when those defaults will appear, when you're doing the posting and when you're actually adding the disbursement to the bill. So as you can see, we've just done a few there. So the other thing that you have for disbursement types is they're not only relevant to office disbursements, they can also be used in your client disbursements as well. So whenever you're doing that, you can add them into client disbursements too, and they can be used there as well. So if I had land registry application, for example, this might be no VAT, straightforward. But the searches may have VAT on top of it, so there might be no VAT there, and there might be VAT on top when you do the searches. So you could have the different VAT elements for different types if you needed them. Okay. So whenever you're actually posting the disbursement type, then you would go to your accounts as you would normally, and go to your client posting. And just look up your matter. Just going to choose this one. There we go. That one I've got something on. There we go. And we go to posting, and then we would go to our disbursement postings. So it might be office disbursement. So it could well be, then you obviously choose your date. You can put your reference in. Let's say land registry application. And then you would choose your type. So if I choose that, and immediately then the VAT rate's going to come in here for my default VAT rate. I can then put the amount in. So say 120, and I can put the payee in down there as well. And then I can post it. So I've got that on there as immediately then those defaults have been done for me. The other thing then you will find if you're in the case inquiry screen, and we go to the same matter. If on the case inquiry screen, the fee earner or the admin staff would be using posting request, we do posting request and we do office disbursement. Again, you've got the type of disbursement. So straight away, if I was to put in searches, the VAT rate's going to come up for me straight away. No matter what I'm picking, it's going to come up there. So equally, as the fee earner and as the admin staff, I do not need to make the decision about which VAT rate is going on this particular disbursement. That has already been done for me. So I can do that in the posting request as well, which is very helpful from the cashier's point of view, simply because then you don't have to worry about somebody picking the wrong VAT rate for a particular type of disbursement. It's already done for you. So that's how it would work from the other side. the disbursements, when they're put on as well, if we go back to matter posting, whenever I'm then picking up that disbursement on a bill, so if I go to office disbursement, if I go to office bill even, then I can pick the disbursements up that have been posted to this particular matter. And whenever I've done that, because they've been put on as disbursement types, the bill VAT rate would already be entered for me. So that one in particular, I've got no VAT against that one. On this one, this is a search fee, and you can see there there's 20% has come up on that one as well. And then whenever I hit include, that will then be worked out on my bill total down here. So again, I'm not having to choose the bill VAT rate. It's already done for me. Again, this is very helpful when fee earners are using bill requests, because again, you don't have to worry about the bill VAT rate being selected. As you're probably aware, if there's no bill VAT rate selected when you're doing a bill for any of those disbursements, it will tell you that it's invalid and one has to be chosen. So it just means that that's all done for you. It's the correct, it will be the correct one depending on how you have set up those particular disbursement types. And you'll see then, as soon as you include them, depending on what the bill VAT rate is, will then show in this disbursements and disbursements VAT section over here, and you can see what's actually being added to your bill. So those are the main ones. The other thing that you can do, as I was saying, is you can use the disbursement types for your client disbursements if you want to do that. So if I was to do a client disbursement here, so for example, if I wanted to put in a council fee that we just set up, and then choose that. This one's obviously being paid straight from client bank, so there's no VAT element at all in there, but we could do that, so put that through. And again, this would be more for reporting, so that whenever you're seeing the disbursements, you can filter disbursements either by, not only by disbursement type, but whether they are office disbursements or client disbursements. So that can all be helpful for your information as well. So if I hit post on that one, do that. That's the wrong one. There we go. Make sure it doesn't go into debit. There we go. Sorry, okay. So that'll show up in our disbursement reports. Okay, so whenever we're looking at our reports then, if we go to reporting and we go to disbursements, we can then filter our disbursements by the different disbursement types. So it may well be that you want to see all the unbilled disbursements that are all land registry fees, or you want to see council fees or anything like that. So if I go searches and I hit run, it will just bring me up those disbursement types in that particular report. If I don't have anything in here, it will bring me up everything. So it just then allows you to get a bit more data analysis as to where your disbursements are being paid to, what kind of disbursements are being paid out on a monthly basis. You can, and what's currently unbilled or billed, you can do all that, and you can literally filter it down into different types. So if you only wanted to see the ones that were for the land registry, or you only wanted to see ones that were property certificates, for example, we can filter that out just by hitting run after you've selected that. Okay, so it will just give you a little bit more information as to what type of disbursements are being paid during that month or being billed during that month, so that you can kind of keep track of that. The other thing that you can do in here is in the advanced section is you can choose what kind of posting type it is. So right down to whether you have disbursements that go through nominals or go through the bank, you can also choose those, and the purchase ledger as well. So again, you've got your disbursement type, and then you can filter down whether it's a client for an office disbursement, and then even further than that, you can choose whether it's going through the bank or through the nominal or through the purchase ledger, etc. So you've got even more scope to start creating reports for more accurate data whenever you're doing that. The other thing that you can then do in the account settings is that you can create posting descriptions. So whenever you are in system and you can go to settings, you have this posting type option down here. So on the posting type option, you have got every single type of posting transaction on here. So everything that's on nominals, purchase ledger, all the office and client postings and deposit checks as well. So you've got all of those on here that you can add descriptions to. There are three options whenever you look at the autocomplete description mode down here. You have got an auto suggest function. You've got when you just have it completely disabled and you're not wanting it for that particular posting type, or you've got a predefined list. The auto suggest function allows you to put it into a certain setting. So if this setting is currently set up for 3 months and 3 occurrences, so if I type the same thing, exactly the same thing, 3 times within 3 months, it will start then recognizing that and it will start to auto suggest that for me. So if we have a look at, if I go into a nominal, just to show you, I think I've got one set up here. I think it's nominal journal. Yep, I do. So if I go into accounts and nominal, and I go to bank transfers, for example, and I choose to do a nominal journal, because I type petty cash all the time, it will start putting that up for me. So as soon as I type in the payee, I can then select petty cash top up. So without me having to type that all the time, it's recognizing that I've used that at least 3 times in the past 3 months. So it starts to auto suggest that for me. And that's how that actually works. The other way that you can do it is you can have the predefined lists. So if we go into client check, for example, it's already got a predefined list on there. This is where you can start putting in descriptions that you use all the time. So you're just making a list of those descriptions, which then you can choose from whenever you go into that posting. This is really, really handy. Not only the fact that you don't have to keep posting this, or you don't have to keep typing the same thing all the time, it's already done for you. You also can maybe have even just the start of a description, which you can then add to. So just because it's money on account doesn't mean that you can't add to that whenever you're actually in the posting yourself. So it could be that, invoice paid from, and then you maybe put a little bit more detail in that. So you've got things like money on account there. Again, I've got completion funds, loan funds in this particular one because this is a C2 client check, but you can do this for every single posting that you've got. So that also means that it filters down and you have relevant things on those relevant postings. It's not just a big long list that's on every single posting. You can make all of those descriptions much more relevant to each particular posting. So those ones would be relevant to client check. If I wanted to add a description on there, for example, I might add the code in, so it's numerical, so we'll just make that 4. And then we'll have a description. So for example, maybe payment, say from client re bill. So that would be one that maybe would be used all the time. We can hit, and once you've done that, then you just hit save. If you wanted anything on any other kind of postings, then you can just jump to those. So for example, maybe office bill. Now the office bill is currently disabled, so I'm going to change that to predefined list. I'm going to add a description. And the first thing I'm going to do is just write bill of costs. So that might save me a bit of time. The other things that I might want maybe in the bill one would be any description that you use for the bill, or even just the start of a description. So you might want to add another one. Say it might be interim bill. And then once you've got that part in, on the actual posting itself, you might then add for like June, July, or whatever it happens to be. be, and we'll add another one in there just a minute. We'll go final bill. So again, everything just has to have a code, and then you can put in your description. And it's all of those things that you type on a regular basis. It's just to try and save you a little bit more time to do that. And then hit save. What you'll then find is whenever you go and do your postings, on the other side of that, if we go to client check, in fact, I'm just going to come out of that for a second and then go back in because we've added to it. If I then go to client check and I go to description, I can either put the code in or I can start typing and it will come up with anything there. Even just when I start typing, I've got a full list and I can just select what I want from that. So I can say payment received, client rebill, put £1,000 in there and then hit post. There we go. And again, if I was doing a bill posting, I've now got options on the description for my bill. So again, I could do one bill of costs, or it can choose from any of these. So again, you're just making that a little bit more efficient for your day-to-day postings, because obviously you do a lot of data entry. So it just will help whenever you have those descriptions already made up. It also helps with accuracy as well, because if you have more than one person doing the postings, it just means that there's less likelihood of mistakes, spelling mistakes or anything like that when everybody's using the predefined lists or the auto suggest function. That's going to eliminate that from adding in the data. It's going to be a lot more easier. So that's really everything that I wanted to show you today. It's really just going through how to set up the disbursement types, adding those default VAT settings, which can be really helpful, and then on top of that, using the posting descriptions. Those are the two settings that you would see in your system settings that would be very relevant to accounts and cashiering, and that are going to help you on a day-to-day basis, just to let you know where they are. So again, they're in the disbursement part of your system settings and the posting type part of your system settings. That's everything I've got to go through. Does anybody have any questions for me today before we finish? I don't want to keep you too long. Leaves. I haven't tried. Bear with me 1 wee second. It comes through. No, it's not currently appearing on the batch posting. It just must be posting requests and individual postings. No problem, Wendy. Thank you. If nobody else has any questions, I will stop the share and thank you all for your time. And again, this will be sent out as a video and it will be on our webinar library as well. So if you need to go through it again or see where those disbursement settings are, you can always have a look at the video again. Okay. Thank you very much for your time, everybody, and thank you for joining us.